The Final Four is here as SunseedJess, representing Demeter and the Earth Pantheon, are throwing down against Lunar caster CalebDOTexe in a clash you do not want to miss. Only one caster can move to the finals and have a chance at becoming immortalized forever as a divine rune in Elestrals. Oh, and don't you forget to enter our upcoming webcam tournament on December 1st, now featuring all new prizing with exclusive stamp promos that you get for just signing up. Check the update video in the description below for more details. Jess has stormed her way to the top of the Elestriad. Let's see if she deviates from the incredibly powerful Earth Nexus strategy.
Hello Elestriad and welcome to Top 4. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Jess, but I've played a couple matches by now. And today we're playing Earth Nexus, yay! No, so this list might look like fairly standard, but I have put so much work into this list. It may look kind of standard, but it just feels perfect for the Lunar matchup. I might eat my words, I might just get demolished, but I feel really well prepared. So, we're playing Earth, we played 3 Aqualinks. We're going back up to 3 Mudlet, 3 copies of Viserys. This is actually it for our Earth Elestrals. Viserys is something I tested without Viserys, because Specteris is a pain, but I still think Viserys is worth playing because it's really good at snowballing. Aqualinks is always good, and I ended up going up to 3 Mudlet from 2 and adding in 2 copies of Eddie, just because change positions against cards like Specteris just seems really strong. Then for my Thunders, I'm playing 3 Electric and 3 Astrabbit. I think especially in the Lunar matchup, Astrabbit is the best card to start with every time, because 5 defense is difficult to get over. Specteris can't get over it. Also, with the Earth Elestrals, one that people might notice is missing is Moss Station. I'm not playing Moss Station because Specteris is terrifying. Anyway, so 2 copies of Demeter and 2 copies of Feloy Forest. Lunar don't have their own, they don't have their own field spell or field rune. They don't have their own copy. So I can be pretty dominant with this. I'm siding into a 3rd in case my opponent plays Atlantis or something like that. And then for the rest, but also good Nexus Bank and stuff like that. Then 3 Ambrosia in for the Invoke runes. But then my removal, I'm playing 3 copies of Cryoblast, 1 Laurels, 1 Earthquake. So when you first look at it, this card might not be great against a lot of the Lunar tools. If Specteris sticks around for too long, I'm in a bad position. So Cryoblast immediately answering Specteris is really valuable. Plus, because there is no field rune, there's no easy way to buff the Specteris to dodge the Cryoblast. And then for my counter runes, I'm playing 3 Poison Tipped Arrow, 3 Gorgon's Gaze, 3 Shield of Achilles, and 2 Altar of Stars. Especially since Draking is a deck, like heavy water-based Lunar decks are probably the most common version. I didn't think it was worth playing Tsunami. I guess more like 5's like Fawnlet Norby versions of Lunar with like Ferrogeist. I'd rather just play things like Shield to remove the Elestral. Altar is significantly worse in this matchup because of Gloombat, because you're always going to be prioritizing setting one of these. You don't really want to set 2 because Gloombat is a free way into Ferrogeist. So just 2 altars for this week. And I'm playing more Invoke runes instead. So for the Spirit deck, I'm playing 5, 10, 12 Earth Spirits, 4 Thunder Spirits, 2 Water, and 2 Frost. And speaking of side deck, Curubis and 3rd Eddie. Because if I'm against Draking, it is really high value. If I just have an Eddie on board and I get Rock and a Hard placed, and my opponent tries to go into a Draking, I'm fine. They're expecting me to pop the Eddie. I keep the Eddie, make a Curubis, and now Draking can't attack over Curubis. And I misenchant it with Frost, so I can't get Cryoblasted. And because I'm playing multiple Frost Spirits, I can do that. Then 3 copies of Specteris, 3 copies of Boombat. Specteris is if I see like 3 Galaxy, 3 Foamy, or if I see any form of like Water Lunar with Foamies. Then 2 Thunderstorm. Also Boombat's for like Ferrogeist, Rise to the Ashes stuff. Thunderstorm is really good against the 5 Ferrogeist list that require having Artemis on field for your Fawnlet and Norby. 1 Feloy Forest in case I see Atlantis and I'd like to play the field game. And 2 Owloon, 2 Zapdos, just as fuel for the Specteris and more fuel for my Thunderstorms and Boom Bats. But that's it for my deck list. It seems quite standard, but I'm very proud of this, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it performs against Caleb. So, let's get into it.
I tell you what, that side deck Kerberos is epic. As usual for Earth, it's all about how quickly you can pair your Equalinks and Demeter to start chipping away at those back row runes. Once those are cleared, cards like Viserys can put on a clinic. Caleb has piloted this stellar Draking to many, many victories. Let's see if he brings back his old reliable.
We're back once again. Somehow we made it here. Let's go. Semifinals. All right. So we're playing against Jess today, just from the Earth Pantheon. And if I was horrified about my water matchup, I am pooping myself at the Earth matchup. Water is very strong into Draking. I considered my options, ran Draking anyway, and now I have to play against Earth. Earth, which just plays constructed Earth. Like, you could take an Elestriad Earth list to a Premier event and you could top. I do not think you could top with what I'm bringing today, but that's okay. We're doing our best to try and make sure that we are prepared for Earth and the many issues that it will bring us, which is why we're running the triple Eddy, triple Foamy, triple Galaxy. Galaxy, just a good 5-beater. Plays around Poison Tipped Arrow, which we care about if Jess decides to side into Wasp Ivy. Foamy is a goat. If my opponent, if she goes Viserys, swing over Foamy, Foamy floats into Eddy. Eddy swaps the attack position Viserys to defense position. She summons out a defense position Viserys. And next turn, my normal cast plus the Eddy on field threaten both Viserys. So the goal here, shout out to Peeps YGO, also part of the Elestriad. I believe this was theory that he used prior in the Earth matchup, and I like it a lot. For our actual Draking stuff, we're on double Draking, triple Draking. Draking's actually pretty solid into this matchup. Just be able to out Viserys and Rock and Hard plays. It becomes very clear, hopefully, very quickly, Viserys is my biggest concern in this deck. Viserys is how she beats me in battle. It is how she outs my guys, which tend to be lower than 5 statted. They are conditional 5 stats between Drakid, Nobby, and Specteris. And even the Galaxy is conditionally a 5 stat. So, or Eddy hits like a 5 stat, but it's because it has an on-cast effect. So we are worried about Viserys almost exclusively. Not super worried about the Equalinks because, like, Demeter is strong. Demeter is the scary card. Equalinks we don't care too much about generally because it's a 4. That's fine. We don't care about 4s. We're playing triple Specteris, double Nobby, double Gloombat. Double Gloombat, just a way to get into the Draking if she ends up setting 2. Also a way to just pop a Demeter. If she decides to get aggressive with the amount of spirit she puts under a Demeter, has to set, I can pop it, or I can normal cast it, pop it, just to go up on spirit advantage. And Nobby hits like a 5. Issue is that it's conditional 5. We don't really have a lot of good Earth beaters that a lot of good Lunar beaters we can play just due to the card pool. These are our best options. The one of Artemis. This is the greatest bluff set for Equalinks of all time. Resting on your laurels will always be live. She's playing Demeter. Triple Ambrosia, necessary. Triple Tsunami, necessary. Poison Tipped Arrow, necessary. Gorgon's Gaze, necessary. Shield is probably the worst card in the counter rune lineup, but we just have to run it because we need as many back row interactions as we can. If we don't see back row interaction, we will lose the game. We need to see back row interaction. We need to keep her off guys as much as possible. We are on 9 water and 11 lunar. Can't do it any other way. Side deck, one of Kerberos. We're playing triple Sluggle, double Dratogma. The idea here is that if we think she's playing super aggro, some sort of like very aggro beat strategy, we can side into a heal stall type deck where we're just playing Sluggle and Dratogma. We're regenerating our spirits, and we then have Kerberos for the Wasp Ivy matchup. It's just a way to out a very annoying guy. The one of Nobby to finish the playset, one of Shield of Achilles to finish the playset. Double Dense Fog, also relevant for Wasp Ivy. Triple Cryoblast and the 2 Frost, also relevant for Wasp Ivy. This is the deck. I do not feel good at all. Again, if I felt bad about the water matchup, I at least felt like I had a chance. I do not feel like I have a chance in this. Lunar is massively disadvantaged just due to the lack of card pool, and it makes me very excited to scrub out and go start preparing for the Moonrise Elestriad. But that's okay. We'll win. We'll take it down. I'll see you in the finals. We're taking this one down.
It looks like Rock in a Hard Place is the go-to strategy this week, with a nice mix of Nobby, Gloombat, and even Galaxy. I cannot wait to watch this showdown. SunseedJess versus CalebDOTexe begins right now. And it looks like Jess is going to kick this one off with an Elestrals cast. Got that Thunder Spirit out there. This is going to be an Elechick or an Astrabit, and it will be that turn 1 Astrabit. Caleb does have a nice advantage here going into this clash against Astrabit because of the number of Eddy that he's running. Eddy can generally counter it pretty well, but Jess being able to access their combo pieces this early, finding those Elechicks or that Demeter or even that Equalinx could prove to be incredibly powerful. And there it is. With just one back row face get down, Caleb is able to get out Eddy right away and shift that Astrabit to attack position, and now able to put on some immediate pressure, but Gorgon's Gaze will stop the Eddy in its tracks, which also prevents it from potentially ascending. So this is a wise choice from Jess, preventing the Astrabit from going to attack position in the first place and preventing the Eddy from ascending before any plays could be made. Jess could be drawing for turn, facing down 2 back row, and here comes a Mudlet. Another position-changing Elestral debuted in Daybreak, shifting the position of Eddy to defense, and now allowing Jess a clear path to try to flip this board state. But much like that first turn, Caleb responds with a Gorgon's Gaze of his own to shut down Mudlet's effect and prevent his Eddy from changing positions. So we've seen some really interesting play here these first couple turns, both casters trading their Gorgon's Gaze. Here comes Stellar Foamy to the field, and will we see a poison-tipped arrow? Let's find out. It seems as though the Foamy is going to stick. Foamy, an incredibly powerful tool here for Caleb, which sets him up to be able to find some of those other water Elestrals and makes Jess think twice about how she wants to destroy this Foamy. Here comes a Mudlet again, another Mudlet hits the field for Jess. She's going to be able to turn that Eddy to defense position and now able to go on the offensive and try to take out Eddy here, which again could be really crucial, but Shield of Achilles will bounce back that Mudlet and prevent it from attacking, giving Caleb some really good board presence and board control. But will he be able to find a way to break through this Astrabit on this upcoming turn? This could be a really good time for a hard ascension, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Draking ascending from the Eddy into the Draking. This is very powerful if this can connect, because Caleb will be able to steal the Astrabit, but it seems as though Jess has an answer. Is it Gorgon's Gaze or Shield of Achilles? It's a Gorgon's Gaze. So Gorgon's Gaze will stop Draking from being able to take down that Astrabit, but this could be a ticking time bomb for SunseedJess, as that Draking can put on a tremendous amount of pressure. The one thing Jess has going for her is the power of Demeter. Let's see if we find it. No, we're going to see a re-enchant on Astrabit, telling us that Jess is still looking for the best option here. And she's just going to load up that back row. 4 back row runes. Can Caleb find a way to break through this? Let's see here. Rock in a Hard Place will be the first one. Interesting choice from Caleb, saying, hey, listen, I'm going to clear one of your back row runes, or I'm going to clear your rabbit. Almost certainly a back row is going to be gone here. It seems as though it's going to be a poison-tipped arrow. So not the most ideal hit for Caleb. I think he'd probably like to hit something else. You want to hit a shield, but he's going to go for the expend to draw here. And then combat. Is there a Shield of Achilles? It is Shield of Achilles. Huge face down counter rune for SunseedJess. Returning Draking back to hand for Caleb and immediately changing the board state. Jess has an opportunity now to go on the offensive, although Draking could just come out on the next turn, as Foamy generally can get out to another Elestral. But here comes Equalinx. Equalinx hits the field, and that is going to immediately threaten the back row counter pressure. Foley Forest is going to be the answer. That's going to allow Equalinx to Nexus if it so wants. Otherwise, it can just maintain its 5 attack stat. So a backup plan for Jess's Earth deck is to ultimately use the Foley Forest as your Nexus Bank as opposed to your Demeter. And there it is, popping a Shield of Achilles. That's a massive blow. Here comes Equalinx. Will there be a Gorgon's Gaze follow-up? Tell me Jess has the Gorgon. She does! Oh, Gorgon's Gaze to suppress the effect of Foamy and negate it before it can search out. And all of a sudden, we got a totally different board state now. Jess pulls that Earth Spirit off of the Astrabit to play the Gorgon's Gaze, being conservative with her spirits. And here comes Caleb. He's got the Eddy. Eddy can immediately pressure the Equalinx if he so wants. And it looks like Equalinx is going to defense. This has been a back and forth clash this whole time. Rock in a Hard Place, but he doesn't have Kerberos in the main. That is one thing that I've noticed in the deck building. There's been so many times where that main deck Kerberos could come in clutch, is able to clear a face down Ambrosia, which could prove to be huge. And Eddie able to get rid of the equal links. This is an incredibly close clash, as these two casters have been trading board state back and forth every single turn, it seems. You can't ask for more out of this one. But again, I can't help but think Kerberos would have been so big there. Here comes a Mudlet again. Mudlet returns. We saw it earlier, got shielded, and now it can shift Eddie back to defense position. It would have gone, Kerberos would have gone down either way, I guess. And we're gonna see Eddie fall down quickly there too. A 6 to 7 clash, but Galaxy comes out. This is a 5 attacker because of its effect, and it can take out the Mudlet. And again, we're trading back and forth. What an insane clash we're watching right here in our final 4. And it's going to be a re-enchant on Astrabbit, who's been there since turn 1. Rabbit has held it down. Caleb's been forced to use his Eddie in a lot of different ways, but not able to get rid of the Astrabbit. And that means Jess has been able to get 3 Astrabbit effects off in this clash. Here comes a Galaxy, but in defense position. This time they're this is a misenchanted Galaxy in defense position, which means that it's not affected by the original Galaxy's effects. So this is simply a 5 defense Celestial. It seems as though Caleb may be looking to set up for Draking once again. If you're Jess, you know you got to get rid of one of these Celestials before that Draking comes. Here comes the Ambrosia, resourcefully pulling off of the Astrabbit to maximize her spirit differential here. Grabbing an Earth, grabbing a Thunder, and then it looks like gonna cast out the Elechick. This is huge. Finally, all the way into this clash, we are so many turns in. Jess is going to be able to find her Demeter if Caleb doesn't have a Gorgon's Gaze, but he does! Gorgon's Gaze is so massive. That will stop Elechick from searching out Demeter and also prevent Elechick from being able to attack over an Elestral this turn with Demeter's effect. So twofold benefit there for Caleb, but he's down to just 2 spirits. Here comes Draking. This is the play that he needs to make. It all comes down to this for Caleb. He needs his Draking to stick because he's got to get rid of that Astrabbit. There's the poison-tipped arrow, dropping Draking down to 5 attack and ensuring that it cannot attack over Astrabbit, meaning that Caleb is going to be left with 2 Elestrals at 5 attack, both of which cannot clear the incredibly powerful and 5 defense stat Rabbit. SunseedJess drawing for her turn, up 5 spirits to 2. Galaxy, her only threat, and it's going to be another enchant into Astrabbit. An incredibly masterful performance here by navigating Astrabbit and being able to prevent this Draking from connecting every single time Caleb has tried to put it on the offensive. It's been stopped. It's been so incredibly close. 2 spirits on Caleb's end. Looks like he's just gonna set a rune face down. He's fishing for some Ambrosias, and here comes Mudlet. Mudlet once again shifting the position, and it looks like Caleb's gonna have to poison-tipped arrow, which will keep his Galaxy around. He doesn't have to use the effect of poison-tipped arrow in the end phase because he can simply, choose to keep the Mudlet up. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He needs an Ambrosia. He's going to go on the offensive. A Shield of Achilles is going to seal this game forever. Foamy will be his last spirit, and it's a misenchant. Galaxy looks like it's going to attack into the Mudlet, or is he searching for the Ambrosia? Here comes the Galaxy. It's going to be a Shield of Achilles, bouncing Galaxy back to hand. And now it means that Caleb's only Elestral is that Foamy, and no spirits left. This one is so close. Jess with 2 spirits, Caleb with none. His only out now is an Ambrosia, but Viserys will seal the deal, and Caleb scoops this game 1. Jess keeping the defensive prowess on the field with that Astrabbit from turn 1. It never went down and provided the resources she needed to ultimately stop the Draking and take game 1. Let's see what happens in game 2. Caleb's Season 3 Elestriad journey is on the ropes here, as he is facing elimination against SunseedJess. Opts to expend to draw in his first turn here. The Lunar Caster has battled the Gauntlet, but Jess immediately responds with an Equal Links, staring down 2 face-down runes, and Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, is here, and that is going to put immediate pressure on these face-down runes. And one of the things we've seen Jess do very well is opt to Nexus more spirits. So let's see if she's gonna Nexus just the 1, or if she's gonna go for the 2. Looks like it's just the 1 this time. That's going to enable one of these face down runes to get popped. It's gonna be a Gorgon's Gaze to prevent it. So that will make this Equal Links a little bit more exposed here going into this next turn, but Caleb gonna have to deal with some back row as well. Let's find out what his strategy is gonna be. We saw him get through the Equal Links last time with Eddie. It's gonna be a Drakid, which works very well as Drakid can swap the stats of Equal Links and Drakid and open the door for a potential rock and a hard place here to ascend. It's gonna be a Gorgon's Gaze right away though. Jess not going to allow that to happen. The problem here, if you're Caleb, is now your back row is once again exposed to Equal Links, and not having another Gorgon's Gaze means that Equal Links is most likely to take something out, and cards like Tsunami no longer work, but resting on your laurels has some great timing there from Caleb. Wanted to see if he can bait out the rune, and does an incredible job of doing just that. A very wise decision on his end, and a really optimal use of resting on your laurels, in my opinion, to clear one of the biggest threats. But here comes Eddie, and Eddie can immediately pressure the Draking and shift it to defense position. We'll see if Caleb has any answers here, but it looks like that Draking gonna go to defense, and now Eddie can simply clear the Draking and move to the next turn. Caleb draws facing down one counter rune, has one of his own. It's gonna be Nobby to the field. Nobby drops the attack of Eddie and non-lunar enchanted Elestrals by 2 every time it receives a lunar spirit. So in this case, Eddie becomes a 2 attacker, and Nobby will attack into the Eddie. Will Jess use another counter rune here? Looks like not this turn. So Jess opts to let it go down, and here comes another Eddie, shifting the Nobby to defense position. Eddie has shown itself to be one of the strongest new cards in Daybreak, providing position chains as an incredible counter to cards like Astrabit and just most one-cost Elestrals that happen to not have, you know, balanced offense and defensive stats. Most Elestrals that have a good attack stat will have a weak defense stat and vice versa. So it ends up working out pretty well. Caleb here in a position to drop the rock at a hard place, but this is exactly what Jess was looking for. Does she have the Kerberos? She's gonna trade her Demeter. Will we see the Kerberos Ascension? She does it! No shot! We're gonna see the double Kerberos hit the field here as Caleb sided in a Kerberos of his own, and both these casters are staring each other down with their Kerberos. Absolutely nuts. Did not expect to see that play. A brilliant side decision there to bring that in the perfect opportunity. It is going to be a misenchanted Kerberos, however, with a Thunder Spirit, whereas Caleb's is going to be properly enchanted, and then he's going to actually use Kerberos' effect and gets hit with a Gorgon's Gaze. Oh no! Caleb went for the big play, opting to disenchant from Kerberos to be able to destroy the opposing Kerberos and heal those spirits back. But Jess had the perfect answer with Gorgon's Gaze, and Caleb is up against a wall, staring down this 9-attack monster. Shield of Achilles is gonna bounce it back to Jess's hand though, and Caleb is right back in this one. No shot. Huge, huge play there with the Shield of Achilles. Can Caleb stick an Elestral now? Let's find out. He's got the Nobby. Nobby comes out onto the field. Will he properly enchant it? No, gonna go with the Water Spirit this time and hit Jess for 1 spirit, but with no back row. This gives Jess an opportunity to get out of Mudlet, get out of Viscerous, and just flip this board. And there's the Viscerous, that tournament pack art, which I love so much, is gonna take out the Nobby and swarm the field with an additional Viscerous. Caleb is in such a tough spot here because he's got to deal with 2 Viscerous now and only has 6 spirits to go, but Specterus might be the perfect counter. The Lunar deck rocks one of its best Elestrals, as this can clear the defense position Viscerous and make it so the other Viscerous cannot attack over it without some help. Jess finds a Cryoblast. The powerful Invoke Frost Rune eliminates Specterus off the field, and here comes Astrabit in attack with no back row for Caleb. Viscerous and Astrabit are going to be able to deal 2 spirits of damage and continue to add card advantage for SunseedJess. She is cruising right now in an incredible back and forth. I gotta say, this has been wild. These casters have been trading board state this entire clash. That Kerberos play was nuts, and here we go. Caleb looking for answers. He's got the Ambrosia. That's a big start here to his comeback. He can get 3 spirits back now, and now he's got to figure out, how do I get through this Viscerous? Something like an Eddie could be really big, but Gloombat is going to be the answer. This is a normal cast Gloombat, looking like he wants to crash into the Astrabit, and it's going to clear. So the Gloombat and the Astrabit crash as Caleb looks to find some answers. Specterus hits the field. Caleb's chances are getting slimmer and slimmer with these 2 Nexus forms of each other. side by side, Viscerus and Spectrus. Here comes Rock and the Pineapple Drat King. CalebDOTexe's Elestriad season is over, and SunseedJess takes this one 2-0 and moves on to the finals of Season 3. Y'all don't want to miss that tomorrow. It is going to be nuts. I'll see y'all then.